7:32 here on your hometown news station, AM 1300 KGLO, streaming live online at KGLOAM.com. We're also streaming live on our KGLO News Facebook page, as we do every week when we sit down and talk with Pete Hjelmstad to get up to date on what's going on around the area construction-wise and some other things. And Pete, thanks again, as always, for joining us every week.
No problem, Bob. We appreciate the opportunity.
Well, and we were talking a little bit here before we went on the air, and you were hearing the story on drones with farms at the end of the newscast there, and you were talking about drones. Well, I know you've had some good drone video, I think, from over on the Lansing Bridge project, but maybe just talk a little bit about how drones are used by the DOT.
Yeah, the use of drones with the DOT is really just kind of touching the tip of the iceberg, I guess. There's work that you can do for surveying. You can measure quantities, measure what's there before, come back with the drone and then fly it after a project and measure the quantities of maybe the dirt that was moved or some of the seeding that was needed. And there's so much more. I'm the drone pilot, the licensed drone pilot for our district, and we've mainly been using it for public relations with some of the pictures that we're using of construction projects. But I mean, I've used it for, we had north of Postville, a slide on one of the, I guess would be the embankments on on the east side of the road. And the whole area just dropped down. Well, our soils people in Ames wanted me to go get some pictures of the slide and then the topography around the area so they could analyze it and try to figure out what happened and the best way to fix it. And even things like we've had some of our older shops in the district where they might have some leaks. And instead of getting the, high-rise truck and getting everybody out there, I just drive out there with the drone and fly it and videotape it and take pictures, and our facilities people take a look at it and isolate the problem area and go from there. But yeah, I'm actually going to Ames today. The drones we have are almost 7 years old, I believe, which in technology years is like 500.
Right.
So we are having some demonstrations down in Ames of some potential replacement drones. So I'm going down there today for that. And there's also the federal government has what's called a blue list, a type of drones that you can and cannot use on any projects that have federal aid. There's concern of drones coming from different countries and things like that. So that's something else we have to navigate. So it's an interesting time. It's exciting with all the technology, but there's also a lot of hoops you've got to be aware of and jump through.
I'm sure when you made the transition to working for the DOT, I'm sure some of these things weren't on your radar. We were talking about before we went on the air, things like ChatGPT and AI. I mean, these things are 10, 20 years ago, we would have never imagined this type of technology being used for things in our normal life.
Yeah, and you summed it up perfectly when you said in our normal life. It's not just
it's not normal.
Yeah, exactly. It's not just a unique circumstance of, this would be good for some type of AI or ChatGPT or Copilot or whatever. It's everyday life where you can use it and it can be very helpful. I mean, I've used ChatGPT. I got sick and tired of my workout in the gym. So I typed it in and said, hey, I'm this old. I've been doing this for this long. Give me a good workout. And boom, I've got a new workout. Just things like that. Or I've got a buddy who said the other day he had a bunch of food in his pantry. And he typed in what he had to ChatGPT or took a picture of it, and they gave him a meal he could make out of it. It's unbelievable. It really, really is.
Well, let's talk about road projects. And I know I drove through the 122 project last night there by Mercy between Monroe and Pierce, and just get us up to date on the progress on that particular project.
All right. Well, you probably noticed they're down to one lane on the westbound side. And that's in preparation for Friday, because Friday we go head-to-head in the westbound lanes, so we can reconstruct the eastbound lanes. And that will be in place probably till towards the end of the project, in mid-November. Monroe Avenue is still closed. Hopefully in 3 weeks, that'll be opened up again. So that'll be back to normal. But the big change is that you will be going head to head starting Friday in the westbound lanes. So the eastbound lanes can be reconstructed. And as far as hospital access, if you're going westbound, you can turn into Crescent Drive, Mercy Drive, Taylor. Those are all going to be accessible. If you're going eastbound, you would have to turn at Pierce and then go east on Third, and that'll take you right into the hospital parking lot. So it's pretty basic, pretty easy, but it's a change. So we want to make sure everybody's aware of it.
And I know we've talked about this before about why it's, takes so long. It's not just the repaving part of it. It's you've got the opportunity to get under there and replace some things. And there's still some things that did not get replaced from last year's part of the project.
Yeah, some of the utilities are on one side, some are on the other, and this also, involves sidewalk work. And I spoke at the Salt Forum again yesterday, and I appreciate them having me out there. And it was kind of funny. I was talking about these projects, and I said, so many people wonder why do these things take so long to tear out pavement and put down new pavement. And I could see so many people nodding their heads. Yeah, why does it take so long? And I started explaining there's water main, there's sewer lines, there is gas lines, there's storm sewer. And that's, it's taking out the old, it's putting in the new, and it's also making sure you're putting it in a surface that's compact and is going to stay level so that storm sewer doesn't shift and all of a sudden it's not letting water flow and it backs up. And you got to get the drainage right on the pavement itself so that the water flows to an intake. So it's a lot more than tearing out pavement and putting down new pavement.
Well, hopefully not as many people will drive the wrong way on that stretch like they did last year. I know I ran into a few times where I had somebody coming my direction that was going the wrong ways, and hopefully that will not be the case this year.
I couldn't agree more. I
Okay.
couldn't agree more. And I will, and don't get me wrong, you've
Yeah.
got to pay attention to the signs and things. It's a different driving situation, but I tell you what, there have been times where I have seen where we have everything barricaded and somebody will drive over or through cones to go the wrong way just because that's the way they've always done it.
And, that maybe brings up another point we should talk about with some of these, construction zones in general. When the barricades are up and it says road closed, don't try to go through that, because I know we had the one person that I think went on a high speed chase on that in that 65 construction zone last fall, if I remember right.
Yep, exactly. Yep, yeah, no, you're right. Those road close signs, they're there for a reason. And again, another example. Last year, I was going to Wendy's, and I was coming south on 65, and I was at the 122 stoplight, and it was barricaded, just on the other side of 122. And there were two semis in front of me, and neither one of them had their blinkers on. And I thought, what are they doing? And they both went around the road closed signs.
Oh, geez.
Then they got to the hard closure where there was no pavement, and they both were trying to back up in a tight area. I was behind them. I had to go around them, and one of them literally got to where he thought he could turn around in the parking lot, a small parking lot to the east, and he drove across the new sidewalk. He drove across the dirt, the mud. I mean, just drove wherever they wanted. So it's one of those things that we deal with, and we try really, really hard to make people aware of it. Our 511 system has a special spot for trucks, so they know that this stuff is closed. Yeah, those signs aren't kidding. They're not jokes.
Get us up to date on the other projects around the area.
Highway 65 in town, they're doing a lot of the stuff we just talked about, the pavement removal, the water main work, the water line work. They've got to do some boring for a water line underneath the railroad, and we just received all the permits we need to get that done. So it's progressing. It's, again, a lot of the underground work that's taking place right now. US 18 in Garner, they have set up traffic control. Most of the work was just taking place at the 18 and 69 intersection. Well, they've now set up traffic control through the entire town so they can continue the asphalt work. Again, they've got some work to do around the railroad. There's another surface lift that they've got to do of asphalt. There's usually 3 lifts. It's a base lift, an intermediate lift, and then the surface lift. And so that work's continuing. Hopefully mid-June they'll be done with that. I-35 in the Clear Lake area where we did all the bridge deck overlays, they started yesterday where they're going to be doing some work as far as on the shoulders on the ramps. They'll be cutting in rumble strips. It's going to be hit and miss work when the contractor can get in there. And like I said, there's a couple different contractors who are working in there, so they'll be in and out of there for the next few weeks. On Iowa 9 in Osage, we are back up there, excuse me, doing some patching on Iowa 9 to the east of 218 this week. Next week, we'll do some patching on 218 north of 9 to the city limits, and then we will be resurfacing that part of 218 probably starting middle of next week, and that will hopefully be done by the end of May. We started on Highway 9 from the 218 that goes south to Floyd over to Riceville. We're going to be doing a resurfacing project there that will be going on through the end of September, so you can expect pilot car and flaggers where work is taking place. What else? Oh, the US 65 bridge replacement between Sheffield and Rockwell. The contractor has finished the drilled shafts, which are the more or less drilled shafts that go deep into the ground with filled with concrete. And that's what the piers and abutments will sit on to support the bridge. So they were able to do that with the road open. They had to go to another project. They'll be back on May 11th, and that's when we will be closing that bridge, and it will be detoured. Now, in the meantime, there is a utility company that has to move one of their wires so the contractor can get the large cranes and stuff like that in there to do the work. So there will be one day, we don't know which day it is yet, they haven't told us, but they'll be in there to do that work, to move that line. The bridge will remain open, but there'll be a lane closure, so there'll be flaggers on either end helping traffic get through there. And I think that's the main stuff. There's still work on the avenue between I-35 and Floyd, so that'll be lane closure where that work is taking place. Up in Manly, the one other one at the intersection of 65 and 9, we are resurfacing that intersection. So the crews are in there right now, and that project should be finished up by May 6th or so. So just a couple of weeks there.
All right. People, anything else before we let you go?
Not that I can think of. I think I've run out of information.
We talked about a little bit of everything today. So
we did. It was fun.
All right. We'll talk to you again next week, hopefully.
Sounds great.
Alrighty. Pete Hjelmstad with the Iowa Department of Transportation, getting us up to date on things here in your hometown news station, AM 1300 KGLO. It's 7:45.